Just didn't seem to have that responsiveness that, say, the Alphafly and the Vaporfly have. So welcome back to the channel, I hope you're doing well. Today I have got a shoe review for you, the Nike Zoom Fly 4, the fourth iteration of the Zoom Fly. I've taken the shoe out for a 15-kilometer run this morning, nice 4 minutes 05 per kilometer pace, which is sort of my steady run pace. It's not an easy run and it's not a tempo, it's sort of in between those two. So yeah, nice 15-kilometer loop this morning. In today's video I'm going to give you some stats about this shoe, some first impressions, some likes and dislikes, and finally how I'm going to be using this shoe moving forward. If you do enjoy this video, please leave a like, consider subscribing. If you'd like to support the channel through donation, you can do that via the link below. Just helps the purchase of shoes, the production of these sort of videos that I hope you get something from. So a bit of a disclaimer, this shoe was brought with my money. I haven't received this one, so it's completely a non-biased review. All my thoughts are my own, as always. But yeah, purchased this one off the Nike website for £145, I believe, or maybe £144.95, something like that. So around that £150 mark for this shoe. The Nike Zoom Fly 4 is a shoe that's meant to pair with the Vaporfly, which is Nike's marathon racing shoe, as sort of the daily trainer. So, as I just said, I paid £145 for this shoe. I purchased it in a men's size 8, which is my size, and it fits true to size, potentially a little bit roomy in the toe box, so you might want to consider going half size down, but I probably wouldn't for myself. I'd probably stick with the true to size for this shoe. It weighs in at 267 grams in my size 8, or US size 9, UK size 8. So a little bit about this shoe. It comes with a double mesh design. So the inner sort of wall of the shoe, if you like, is this Flyknit material, which we've had in sort of the Nike Infinity Reacts. And they've used this in the Zoom Fly 4 in a slightly different way than I've seen it before. It's almost in sort of like a double mesh format this time. So the inner layer is like a sock, and then we've got this outer layer, which is, you can put your finger right between the two layers. I don't know if you can see there. I mean, between the two layers, you've got the sock in the middle, and then you've got this sort of breathable mesh outer, giving it like a double-walled mesh to the shoe. In between these two layers there appears to be these sort of elasticated like laces almost on this, both on the inside and the outside of this shoe. It really seems to bring the upper over the top of the foot and secure the lockdown when you tie a shoelace. So that's something noticeable. It's sort of hidden by this orange flare on the side. The shoe also has this sort of heel pod here, which is very similar to the Nike Alphafly racing shoe. So as you can see, this thick bit here is a nice padded area for your Achilles and your heel, gives you a nice lockdown. Onto the midsole, so we've got a full Nike React midsole, which is their more durable foam. It's not their most responsive, that's the Zoom X foam. This is their foam that they use in all their daily trainers. It's much more durable than the Zoom X, so it doesn't break down as much. So yeah, you should be able to get a lot more miles in the Nike Zoom Fly series than you would in the Vaporfly, but it does make it a little bit denser. The foam is a lot denser, so a little bit heavier and a little bit less responsive. Again, I'll talk a little bit more about that later on. We've got a full-length carbon plate running through this shoe. I believe it's the same sort of carbon plate they use in the Vaporfly. So, putting this shoe on straight out of the box, I got a really nice secure lockdown here. I did the runner's knot. It's got two holes in the top of this lacing system here, so you can do the runner's knot. And I got a really nice secure lockdown first time. Sometimes with new shoes, as I'm running, I have to tie the shoelaces up again as things sort of move around and find their place on your foot, but I didn't have to do that with this shoe. Yeah, kudos to Nike, a very good lacing system that they've implemented here. I think it's the combination with the Flyknit sock type fit and these sort of lacing system here they've implemented on the sides, both sides of the foot, get a really good secure lockdown. Another first impression I had when trying this shoe, it feels very similar to the Nike Zoom 3, and I believe it is just an upper update on this shoe. It doesn't feel any different to me. I believe it's got the same 8mm drop. I couldn't actually find the specifications of this shoe on Nike's website, but I believe it's exactly the same as the Zoom 3, having looked closely at some pictures of the two midsoles. So you've got a 36mm stack height in the heel and dropping 8mm into the toe box. So on my first run in this shoe, it definitely felt a lot more stable than, say, a Vaporfly. I think it is because of the Nike React foam is a lot denser. It doesn't sort of sink as much as the Zoom X foam does. So I found the overall ride of the Zoom Fly 4 quite a stable one. I didn't have any problems with like any uneven ground. I didn't feel like I was going to roll my ankle, which sometimes I do in the marathon racing shoes from Nike. And my final sort of first impressions is it didn't really surprise me, but it didn't really disappoint me, if that makes sense. It does exactly what it says on the tin. I know it's a bit cliche, but it feels like this shoe is really good for that sort of tempo run. It's sort of a daily trainer that you can use in a racing format if you want to. If you want to buy a shoe that sort of you can do everything in, then this shoe is really going to do it. It didn't have the sort of pop that the Zoom X foam shoes, so the Vaporfly and the Alphafly do, but then again you wouldn't expect it to because it is made with a different midsole. £145 on the grand scheme of things for this shoe that you can use for tempo and races is quite reasonable, I think. Definitely a cheaper alternative. Okay, moving on to some of my likes and dislikes. We'll start with the likes. This React midsole for me was nice and cushioned. It's perfect for sort of those daily miles where you're looking for something that's going to protect your legs a little bit. There's plenty of foam in this shoe, so you shouldn't suffer from anything like shin splints or impact related injuries. Yeah, you've got a nice cushion feel in this one. Another one of my likes was the lockdown. It's definitely the highlight of this shoe, especially because this shoe was an update to the upper. I'm glad that it's really performing well in that lockdown area. It shows that they've worked on the design of this shoe to make sure it's a really nice, secure, comfortable shoe for those daily miles. I also like the fact that it feels like a sort of racing shoe, but for daily use, which is pretty cool. Lacing it up, it felt like I was putting on a marathon or half marathon shoe, the Alphafly and the Vaporfly. I keep talking about them, but it felt very similar in terms of those two shoes. I have only ran once in this shoe, but I can already tell it's much more durable than the Vaporfly. On my first run in the Vaporfly, this area was all sort of dirty and had started to make indents and stuff in the Zoom X foam, whereas this Nike React foam is much more durable. There's hardly a mark on this shoe from the first 15-kilometer run this morning. So yeah, much more durable than the Alphafly and the Vaporfly, so that's one of my likes. And finally is the look of this shoe. It definitely looks a lot better in person than it does on the website. This midsole is actually a grey colour, which is quite unusual. You can sort of see the grey there compared to the white of this outsole rubber here on the bottom. So yeah, I quite like the look of this shoe. This nice orange and yellow colourway, it really pops, which is really good for when I'm filming videos, because it really shows, it really stands out on camera. So some of my dislikes, unfortunately it does seem to lack the responsiveness of, say, the Alphafly and the Vaporfly. Now I wouldn't necessarily expect it to have that sort of poppy feel that those shoes have, but for a shoe that's advertised as being able to race in, basically, I would say the responsiveness of the shoe was a little bit disappointing. It also felt a little bit on the clunky side. This Nike React, because it wasn't so responsive, it did feel like I had a big wedge of sort of quite dense material under my feet as I was running, which gave the shoe a little bit of a clunky feel. And finally, one of my dislikes was this shoe does feel a little bit outdated, because they have only changed the upper to this shoe. The midsole is exactly the same as the Zoom Fly 3 as far as I can tell. So it just felt a little bit outdated, especially when you've got sort of like the Nike Next Percent Tempos, and I think the Nike Streak Fly is coming out, which I'm really looking forward to that shoe coming out. Whereas the Zoom Fly 4, it felt a little bit outdated to me, and that was sort of confirmed by the sort of lack of marketing and publicity this shoe's got from Nike itself. They haven't really pushed the release of this shoe. It's just been put up on the website. So yeah, it's nothing sort of groundbreaking. It's not in this shoe, despite it being a new release from Nike. And that's how I would summarise this shoe, really. It's a great shoe. If you enjoyed the Nike Zoom 3, then this is definitely an upgrade to that shoe. And if you're someone looking for more stability in their training shoes that you can also race in, then probably look no further than the Zoom Fly 4. But for me, yeah, it just seems a little bit outdated. So moving forward, how am I going to be using this shoe in terms of my runs? I'm probably going to go for this shoe when I'm looking at doing any run other than an easy run. So that would be my steady, tempo, threshold. I probably wouldn't race in this shoe just because I personally have got other shoes that I feel are slightly faster or I can be more efficient in. Any interval type stuff where I want to sort of save my race day shoes for races. I don't want them breaking down and not being at their best. I'd probably go for this shoe because it's much more durable. I'm going to get a lot more miles, a lot more value for money in terms of using this shoe as a tempo interval shoe. I'd probably even do some like park runs in it, 5-10k efforts, because it still is a quick shoe, don't get me wrong. It just doesn't have that sort of pop factor that the marathon shoes have. I'd recommend it to anyone who is looking for sort of a cheaper alternative to the Vaporfly. 145 quid, you're going to save yourself about 60 to 100 pounds compared to some of the marathon racing shoes. And it basically does the same thing, especially if you're a runner that's not sort of too concerned about your speed or your goal is more to finish a marathon than to get, I don't know, a 2 hour 30-minute marathon. It's more suited to people that are looking to do their training and racing in the same shoe, basically. That pretty much summarises my first impressions of the Nike Zoom Fly 4. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, leave a like, subscribe to the channel for more running shoe reviews and running related content. I've got a half marathon this Sunday, the Chelmsford Half Marathon, so expect a race day vlog from that one. And yeah, thanks for watching. Aspire to run and run to inspire, and I'll see you with another one soon. Thank you.